Hey guys, Team Mambo here, back with another video. Today, here I have with me is Daniel Hefferman and Tom Keenan, and today we're going to be talking about the new Prank Kids Link 1 that was just revealed from Phantom Rage. For those that don't know what it does, so it's called Prank Kids Meow Meow. It'll probably be called maybe something a bit different in the TCG, but it is a Link 1 rock link effect that points down level 4 or lower Prank Kids monsters material. You can only summon it once per turn, and its effect, it basically just reads if a Prank Kids monster you control will be attributed to activate its effect during the opponent's turn, you can banish it from your field or graveyard instead. Now, since like Prank Kids' inception rather, we've all kind of joked about like, oh, what if Prank Kids got a Link 1? It'd be like absolutely busted, right? And we're thinking like, oh, like what could the effects be? Like, oh, it would probably like, you know, block it to Prank Kids or something like that, or like it has its material has to be like maybe not even level 4 lower Prank Kid, maybe it has to be like an extra Prank Kids monster. But you know, Konami showing once again that, you know, we were all wrong and they actually just made it like the most busted it could possibly be. Apart from like, you know, making it so you can only link summon it once per turn. So guys, what do you guys think that will this help push Prank Kids into tier 1 status, or do you think it still has too many problems?
So Prank Kids is always a deck that's going to be format dependent, right? Because if there are like quite a lot of lists playing something like Nibiru or maybe going first making Dweller, you're obviously not going to probably achieve much in that tournament. But two of the biggest problems about Prank Kids have been solved by the current format, right? The first problem is consistency, completely solved by that new Link 1. But the other problem is running out of resources, which happens to be solved by Pot of Avarice being a 3 in the current format. You probably wouldn't play 3 copies of Avarice. It's a little bit tricky, especially in the early game. The fact that you can just stall out with these monsters and gain life and burn until you draw an Avarice and then just stall it even more makes this, I think, a really viable choice for a tournament.
And definitely having like a reliable starter is really good. Because initially, like Poly and 2 Prank Kids was how you started most of your combos, but that's like that's 3 cards you need to open in 5, and you play a lot of Prank Kids and there's not a lot of Polys, so now any Prank Kids on its own can get you playing the game, and Polys are just like extenders to that.
So what combos have you guys found with just one Prank Kid so far? What is the most that you have found that you can do with just one Prank Kid?
So if you got one Prank Kid, just one Prank Kid, and you're going first and you don't get hand trapped, you can end on a board that will either Regeki your opponent twice during their main phase, or Regeki and Duster them. Or if you're going second, one Prank Kid means you can OTK through pretty much anything with like World Sword, and sort of any other extender you like have on top of that one Prank Kid just makes your turn that much better. So it isn't like you're being forced to play with one card in hand now that this new combos come out. It just means that your entire deck is now starters, and you can add pretty much anything else aside from that will just either hinder your opponent like hand traps or benefit your own strategy like awesome extenders like Reborn or Instant Fusion, for example. And then the other combo, which is the absolute god combo, which involves opening Vanilla Poly and any 2 Prank Kids monsters. So obviously you can like adjust the consistency of this combo by playing things like King of the Swamp, or like I think Lithium played like Fright for Patchwork, I thought was kind of cool. So you just fuse from hand with the polymerization for like the Rocket Ride, and he'll summon 2 more Prank Kids. But when you like do this combo, you can make it so that you can summon Totally Awesome as summon 4, which means that you're pretty much guaranteed not to be Nibiru. So that also means that the sort of strongest counter to the deck is beaten by just like one of the plays that the deck has. So when you make this Toad as like summon 4, you pretty much end on a similar board that you would have ended on if you were like just summoning one Prank Kid, but you also have Toad. So you're pretty much getting the standard double Regeki or like Regeki Duster on their turn, while also being backed up with a pretty sweet negate. That would also add back a water Prank Kid when it goes to grave. Like, it really feels like Toad was like built for this deck.
Because drops these and Washer are both like, they're going to be in your grave if it's not your opponent's turn for the most part.
Exactly. And like one of the other strengths of the deck that you guys have noticed that I personally started playing as well is the ability to play Parallel Exceed, just like in the main deck.
That card's another way to play around Nibiru, because you just make the Link 1, you slam it down, make Rafflesia, and Nibiru is no longer a problem.
Yeah.
It's super powerful, and as well as that, if you're not really afraid of Nibiru, you can use it to make like Dweller or like Daigusto Emerald, which is it completely furthers your own strategy or like shuts off your opponents,
Yeah.
which is absolutely fantastic.
The,
So right,
the extra
go-
deck is interesting in Prankets now because initially you had like a good amount of like flexi spots, but now with the new link being added and like say Toad and Reflex are kind of becoming more like important, almost like staple, the extra deck is like quite tight. So it'll be interesting to see if a new like fusion comes out, say, how that'll like change the ratios and whatnot.
Yeah,
I
that could be
think
quite
that
hard to
just
fit
take-
in.
Yeah, I think that just takes a lot of games, right? Like it's hard to
Mhm.
know like can you get away with like one washer, say. You just don't know till you play enough games.
is
Mm.
when we get the new cards, because the stronger the deck is, the less of the continuous fusion extenders you have to play like Weather Washer. Because if you're killing them in like one turn always, you're never going to need a second Weather Washer, you know?
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's a super strong fusion that really abuses everything and makes it easy to OTK, I think you'd probably even get away with like one copy of Rocket and one copy of Weather Washer.
That'd be
But,
crazy.
Like the reason why you used to play like 2 or 3 rockets previously was because instant fusion was at 3, and it was like probably one of the best extenders of the deck in the mid game, because you can just instant fusion out a rocket and summon back to the link monsters pretty easily. But the fact that instant fusion's at 1 means that you're only really fusing for rocket with the polymerization or prank against poly. And I've tested quite a few games already, and comes up like with second rocket once every couple of games. I don't think it's too common.
Something Prankets had a huge issue with was you didn't really have a huge amount of flexibility in deck building because you had to play all the Prankets, the fusions, the polys. Then you had to play whatever poly engine or extra fusion engine you needed, and then maybe you'd have like 3 spots for like Ash, perhaps. But now that you can just play like 3 poly and the Prankets themselves play. You have like way more space for like if you want to play hand traps or if you want to play like going second cards, I suppose, as in like if you want to decide into them. You have a lot more like flexibility in deck building. So I'd say there'll be a lot more like Prankets variations coming
Yeah.
as people like explore different engines in the deck.
Do you guys think that the Prankets engine could be played in any other decks? Or can it even be played as like an engine in other decks?
It definitely seems like it could. Like you just normal prank it, you make the link, you summon a free guy. You could even then link again, summon another guy. Like you get it on its own, you can link climb pretty far.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing is then you're just playing a load of like prankins in your deck that probably don't do anything. If your deck didn't need a normal summon, maybe.
Yeah, maybe like something like Eldritch, like maybe like Eldritch Prankets. You just like end on like the double Regeki thing, and then you just like set 4 traps.
Every deck can absolutely benefit from just having double Regeki on your
Yeah, for sure.
Summon the load that like floats into more guys, and then you can just like do it again.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Are you guys talking about how easy it is to like splash the prank kids engine now?
Yeah.
It's so dope, man. We're gonna see some really strong lists that are playing like small prank kids engines. I'm convinced.
Yeah. Like maybe like
The other thing,
a very small like amount of the Prankets monsters themselves, and just like 3 place or something, and like maybe a Pandemonium or some shit, and then
yeah, Pandemonium.
Well, like-
for like there's surely some ratio for it where it's
Yeah.
like the optimal number of prankets so that you don't just like draw loads of prankets, because if you just want to see one and the rest in your deck, hopefully.
Like theoretically, you could just play one of each prank kid monster.
yeah, and like 3
and
place.
one copy of the poly. You wouldn't even need three copies of place. I guess if you were like super determined to like draw it, three place could be the right call. But like all you really need is one prank kid monster and then one of each other color in the deck in order to do the entire combo, which is pretty powerful, especially if you have like another engine that like supports it even more.
Yeah, especially since like even if you draw the other colors, if you're playing them as an engine, you can still like summon them from hand. So it's like fine.
They're
Yeah, for
garnets.
sure. They used to be garnets, but now they're not anymore.
Yeah. Now they are all
They,
star
they're all
cards.
graph.
Yeah.
They're not gonna bring this.
They're just all tour guide, like normal summon and
actually
the
want
immunity
to see-
summon deck.
Yeah, the deck. I think the deck will definitely be like. It kind of has to be like at least like maybe like tier 1. It seems like likely just how powerful it is in terms of like it can OTK so quickly. It can set up quite strong boards, and just its consistency on its own. Like obviously, it has the ability to play through hand traps, but if it's unchecked by hand traps, you're like there's almost no game you're not going to be able to play. You play like 16 one-card starters, and then you have like polys as your extenders, and then whatever other engines you might be playing. So it's very unlikely that you're just going to like brick.
I'm sure we'll still
But you-
find a way to brick with the deck, though.
Yeah,
It's just in our
absolutely.
nature,
3
like.
poly and then just 2 pranks or something. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
It's super unlikely to brick, but to be honest, I actually have bricked a couple of games when I was testing, but it was
Oh
only the
no,
games. I
oh
opened,
no,
like-
it's begun.
But it was only games where I opened like 4 hand traps and like a pot of avarice. Like those are the brick hands, and
Right.
like those hands you can even live for a turn or two because you just have 4 hand traps that would just like slow the opponent
you
down.
just need to draw 1 prank it, and then you're
Yeah.
playing the game. So it's not super unlikely.
And you have your 50
For
one-card
sure.
combos in your deck.
And if consistency is an issue, you can just play desires. But I
True.
hate desires.
Yeah.
Hate pot of desires.
It's
It
a
feels
bit dodgy.
like it seems a bit unnecessary in the deck too, because like you can do so much off just 1 prank it that like desiresing and like potentially like skewing your prank it ratios can be really bad, because like if you draw, so if you had like Lampsies, then you banish your other 2 Lampsies, kind of it's not good. Like it's nice to like have a consistent ratio of prankeds in your deck. Desires was like
Yeah.
like desires in like previous prankeds. Sometimes you just banish it off Roxy's, because like you just want to like if you have your combo, Desires is like a no shit.
Yeah, it's just part of the philosophy that you don't activate desires if you don't need to, I think. There's one more thing to talk about, I think. It's the final thing. It's using the prankids to make link 5s or high level links. So there's a combo that pretty much if you open, I think either the fusion or like the spell card, you can end on like a link 5 or 6 depending on like what your like monster's normal summon is at the end. There's a couple that people obviously think of straight away. There's like Dark Fluid Dragon, which is it's like the firewall
Yeah.
link 5, and then there's a Boral like link 5.
Yeah,
It's
Boral
like a
and Dragon, yeah. That's coming out like just before this.
Boral Dragon, yeah, and then there's one last one. I think Salomon Grey Plate. It's like a link 4 that gains 1,000 attack that can banish a link to pop a card in the field.
Oh, access code. Yeah. The broken one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so access code talker fits really nicely into prankids, weirdly enough. So potentially in the future, you could probably see the prankids deck going for these like high link strategies instead of just Boral Sword OTK.
Mhm.
But we'll have to see what the deck looks like with Niscord. So yeah, I think that's everything, guys.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We were Team Mambo, signing out.